Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to the 10 Yards Back YouTube channel with me, Jim, for my predictions for round 5 of the Betfred Super League. How are we doing? I'm very well, thank you. If you like this kind of thing, if you like predictions, you like the Super League, you like people called Jim, do me a favour. Head down there, give us a follow, a like, a subscribe, a bell, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let's make friends in the comments. How about that? All right, so round 5 is upon us. This is how the fixtures are shaping up. Couple of goodies in there, couple of matches that I'd watch every week, if I'm honest. Couple you probably want to skip. Not really. There are pretty good matches this weekend. If you look at where everyone lies in the table, wouldn't put too much emphasis on that at this point in the season. But if you look at where everyone lies in the table, it doesn't look super competitive. But of course, we're in that cursed 2026 season of Super League where most of these teams have got 4, maybe 5 players out at least. So you never know. It's a bit of a wild card, isn't it? Always a bit of a mystery in 2026, isn't it? So I'm going to highlight a couple of games here. Let's get into some predictions. Thursday night, the Wigan Warriors, are going to host the York Knights. Josh Griffin's dancing York Knights. If you haven't seen him on the is it the One Show, the Challenge Cup draw over on Monday, please give it a watch. It's worth it. All right, so Wigan versus York, former champions, last year's grand finalists against this year's newcomers. In fact, when you think about it, Wigan were Super League runners-up last year and York were Championship runners-up last year. So you can kind of going into this with just that information, you've already kind of got an idea in your head of how it's going to go, haven't you? If we look at how the teams are performing, it doesn't really do much to dispute it. The only place where York are kind of doing better than Leeds really is in the number of tackles they make. And really that just means that they have the ball less than Wigan in general in a match. Or they have to add more men in the tackle and are therefore less effective. So I think in general, you can look at those stats and think, it's going to be a rough night in the office for York, isn't it? Particularly, have a look at that metre stat. Wigan making nearly 400 metres more than York in a game. Eesh, doesn't look good. But if we have a look at the teams, now, everyone's hit at the minute with a bit of an injury crisis. York have this, what I'm calling the vitality clause in their operations, meaning there's some weird twist of rules which basically means that they can swap, particularly overseas players, I'm not sure about homegrowns, with the Newcastle Thunder. And I don't know exactly the rules around it, but it seems like York have basically an endless supply of players. So if someone goes, they can just replace them straight away. Now, admittedly, that's not as good as just having them sat on your bench, but it does mean they've got access to more of those overseas players, which is an interesting concept. Now, Wigan, as I'm sure we're all aware, have lost that gruesome twosome, Jay Field and Bevan French. And it's kind of attractive when that happens to go, "Oi, Wigan are going down now, aren't they? Oh, Wigan are gone." But doesn't it just seem weird that it seems like every year they both kind of bog off for a couple of games together? And during that time, yeah, they're not firing all cylinders like they are, but they don't lose every game. They don't lose terribly. There are no like 42-0s with where Wigan's involved. So I think that if you look at who Wigan have left on the pitch, instead of looking who they've lost, you'll see they're actually still one of the best teams in the league. Eckersley, Kieran, Farrell, Marshall. Just go down the list. They are players that kind of would sit well in any team, to be honest. So don't be fooled by that French and Field vacation, I guess. What they will lose and have lost a little bit is creativity. So the people they're putting in, Jack Farriman, Noah Hodkinson, they're good lads. They're decent players, but they're not French and Field, are they? So even if they are an 8 out of 10 in creativity, the guys they've lost are 11s. So that's the kind of game you're playing. Now, York, the advantage that York have, their kind of secret weapon, apart from the vitality clause, the secret weapon on the field is what I mentioned last week about this this axis that was developing that I really enjoyed between McShane and the two halves. The two halves that I was talking about were Danny Richardson and Liam Harris. You essentially had a situation where you've got a really mobile, smart, ball-playing hooker almost acting as your standoff position, and then you had those two scrum halves who are pretty accurate with the boot, can really shift the ball around, and now we're actually starting to run it to the line a lot more. They've lost Harris this week, so it's going to be interesting to see how Ngannou comes in and kind of covers that. Danny Richardson, I'm sure, whilst he wishes Harris all the best, is glad of a couple of weeks in the limelight there. If they can establish some kind of relationship again, I mean, maybe they flip it on its head and they've got a situation where instead of McShane handing off to the two scrum halves, you've got the scrum half running the show and two sort of pseudo standoffs, which is kind of the role that McShane's playing at the minute. I don't know, maybe they do that, and then if you see the cracks appearing, you can take advantage. I'm not sure if it'd be good enough. However, what I can say is that probably if I were York, where I'm really going to focus my strategy and organisation, and sort of where I'm going to focus that kicking game, those repeat sets, is in that position where you've got, I think, Liam Farrell and Sam Walters on the same side. So you've got Liam Farrell, who's a really world-class player, fantastic second row, a slippery character, can get you out your own half, puts a shift in. Sam Walters, he's a big body, but he's not really known for being a hammer, is he? Even though he's definitely got the build, he's more of a creative sort of mop up the play when it spills, or when the play's on, he's there, and that's, you want him right on your opponent's line, ready to pick up the ball. I don't know if he's the kind of the hammer that you need to kind of smash through. Nasemba on the other side absolutely is, but I think that's where I'd be targeting, and that's where maybe the cracks will start to appear. That being said, you're talking about Wigan, so I don't even think there'll be any cracks, to be honest. But if I was York, that's where I'm targeting. All this being said, my maths on this, my crystal ball takes me to about 44-12. I think York will get a couple off, but Wigan, who's going to beat them these days? I'm just looking to Good Friday and thinking, God, come on. I just hope there's a couple of banana peels sitting around the Wigan Warriors camp. So 44-12, Thursday night. You heard me. That's my thoughts. All right. Let's look at the other games of the weekend. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I think the other real interesting game to watch will be the Catalans-Hull KR game. This is in France. My prediction there is based on averages so far, and Hull KR obviously got fewer games to average out. I do think the way that Catalans played against Lee just really it was a bit scrappy, but if you say that's kind of their starting point, I think that they can really do something here, and I like that, because I like having a strong Catalans side in the competition. Warrington Castleford, Warrington are just too strong. It will be interesting though to see how they do without Kai Taylor-Ray, who is sort of, I think he's almost He's the smoke screen for Warrington at the minute. So taking him out of it, I think we're actually going to realise that the rest of the team are doing pretty well as well, because he's taking all the headlines at the minute, isn't he? Hull FC Leeds. Hull FC are getting some players back slowly but surely, but Leeds are going to be hurting after what happened at the weekend at Wakefield. They're not going to let up. They'll dust themselves off and they'll go again at Hull FC. And yeah, I just don't see it happening for Hull. All right, so that is my predictions for round 5. Let me know what you think, what your predictions are. Let me know if I'm completely out of order in any of these. Give me a like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get my updates. And I'll see you after the weekend for the round review. Cheers, guys.